know what, AI is fast, I agree to it, but the thing is, it is not always wiser. That's the reason you have to prompt it and you have to make it better. So I don't know whether you are using it or it is using you to become more smarter. This is not about anti AI or running away from AI. This is about subtle changes in the way you use AI. I've learned the hard way that AI might give you good information, possibly factual information, might make mistakes as well, but no algorithm in the world can give you that information which you require based on your situation or context, but possibly the books might can. So let's see what we have today. This is not a video about solution or question and answer. This is simple insight wherein you have to decide whether you are willing to sacrifice the wisdom for efficiency or wisdom for instant gratification. Let's get into it. So the very first point, AI is equal to instant answers while books is equal to wisdom. It has all the answers which you may not have even thought of, but it is slow and it is well paced. But AI is instant. What I mean by this is AI gives you instant answers, instant information, everything is instant, but it fades away very quickly. Whereas book or reading anything properly with concentration gives you lessons, not in that very context, but give you the lessons and understanding which can be used later in various different instances or situations whenever you need them. And the more older it gets, the more beautiful the lessons become, and the more variances it can present of the very same lesson. Let me explain this. Say you go through a chapter and it's say about atomic habits, for example. So it says just give 5 seconds. So I'll give you the example of Mel Robbins, the 5 second rule. It's very simple. uh, Whenever you think of something, doing something, and you have to decide it in 5 seconds. If it takes like 5 seconds to decide and do it in like another 1 minute, you should do it immediately, else you can skip it. This is not the exact, but yeah, this is what the idea is. So now this 5 second rule, because I have read it or understood it even via video, I can use it in multiple contexts in my life. For example, in my office work, in my professional work. So whether you have gained this understanding from watching a video or reading a book, this is a lesson which can be applied to various instances in life on a day-to-day basis or on a regular basis as well. So this is what understanding and reading gives to you. This takes time to seep in, to make sense out of it, and to come up with new lessons out of it. And depending on which situation you are in, your brain automatically calculates and calibrates which might be the best possible answer to that particular situation. AI cannot do that. If you ask AI, if you're stuck in something, and if you ask AI, you have to prompt it again and again. You have to keep giving it the actual context, and then it comes with different ideas. This I've experienced with when I was buying lens. I gave it all the lenses which I have for the camera, and then I asked it a question, and then it makes assumptions and it goes wrong. I'm not saying it's bad again, please don't take this the wrong way, but this is the bifurcation, or this is the segregation you will have to maintain uh, by yourself when it comes to AI. Moving on to the next point, if you need summaries, yes, use AI. Only use AI to create summaries if you understand, if you have gone through, if you have put in the effort to understand those things. It's like if you don't understand a concept while you are in school, or even in like real life now when you are working in office, you won't be able to summarize it. AI can do that for you, but you will never gain the insight inside it, and you won't be able to use that particular piece of information anywhere else. And this example might sound repetitive, but the thing is, this is how life works. You learn something and you apply it in other walks of life and parts of life, but the way we perceive it and the way we receive that information and what we do with that information, which is technically our brain, is keeps changing. But the application, like has to be there in different contexts. So yes, this is how I would summarize something, only if I understand it. Now if you think that you can read books by getting the extracts out of it, then there are many channels which actually tell you the 10 things or 7 things which are best in that particular book. But if you have not gone through the story behind it, your mind will never remember it. That's the reason, although the videos which are like listicles, like this is one of them, gives you information from that particular book, but if you don't have the story behind it, you won't be able to understand. So even if you give a PDF to the uh, chat gpt or any AI bot, it will create summaries out of it, it will create pointers out of it, but still it won't give you the context, you won't be able to understand it. And without understanding, there is nothing in your life uh, can make sense, or your life can make sense. Actually, you have to understand things, whether it's personal, professional, or anything. And other thing which the thought which just crossed my mind is, here I was looking at something. The other example is like meeting notes. You can summarize the meeting notes because you yourself have those meeting notes randomly put in, and you can give it to AI and then make sense out of it. Now you are able to judge that because you were present in the meeting and you wrote the notes yourself, and that's the reason you know where it has gone wrong. But when it comes to books which you have never read, or when it comes to a passage or white paper or anything which you have never read, you cannot make sense out of it. So you need to understand this. This is a very subtle thing. I know that you may think that you already know these things, but I've seen this personally in my professional life as well. People are missing on these tiny things. They're skipping, the brain is skipping these things, they are not, and they are making mistakes, even if they are going through the text, because there is so much belief that the text which AI has given is correct, and there is nothing wrong with it. Although every single time it states that AI can make mistakes, AI can make mistakes. So please keep this in mind. Moving on to the next point, I always have this point of discipline and convenience. And discipline is something uh, I had to struggle a lot to get into discipline, whether it was eating food, wearing clothes, cleaning clothes, or anything, because I was too lethargic, I was too heavy uh, physically as well. And for that reason, I had to go through a lot of things. And the more late you are uh, in terms of getting disciplined or anything, the more harder it becomes. And that's the reason, across the globe, the age to get into the army is like under 25. Of course there is requirement of physical capability, but it is before the age of 25 or 22. You they will be able to discipline you. That's the idea as well. So what AI does is AI makes you indisciplined. This I have talked in my previous video as well. It makes you indisciplined because uh, not not because you are not following things. The thing is, you know that this can be done by AI. You keep pushing it for later or the next hour. And what happens is, you think that you're only behaving in this particular context in this very way, but slowly and steadily this creeps into different areas of your life, because your brain has the confidence that if you can do this thing later, you can do those other things later as well. But those things have different context, and this thing has different context. It's like water creeping in through small gaps. Even if you think that it's water sealed or airtight, whatever it is, but still the water creeps in. Similar to that, this thing starts to happen. What books do differently here is that they don't work on their own. They make you work, they make your brain work, they ask you to put in the effort. The energy is invested, and when you invest the energy, when your brain concentrates on those things, you get actually disciplined. Whether it's reading your white papers, and when I say books, this is not just about physical books, this is about reading something with concentration, going through the white pages. Because if you may be aware of that if you have 100 pages of PDF, which is some report or something, I understand not everything is important, but you as a student or you as a reader can make it out what is important and what is not. But you cannot be sure that AI has gone through all the 100 pages. and made the best thing out of it, because based on what you prompted to the AI, it will only work on that context. Even if it goes through those 100 pages, it will still work on that very context. It won't understand the document the way you would, because it is not trained exactly for doing those things. Yes, there are AIs which help legal people to skim through the text, or to skip altogether the chunks of text which don't make sense in that particular context, just because they have to reach, say, to the clause 12.16 A of the annexure B. So AI can skip there directly, or AI can give the exact information, because the legal system or the legal documentation is like logic. If this is there, then refer this context, and if this is not there, then come back to this context. Only this is applicable if you are this, if this satisfies. So it works this way. That's the reason it's easy for AI, and the people are training the AI for doing that exactly the same job. But the AI which you may be using is not trained for doing that job. So that's the reason reading is something you have to have in you. Without that, it's nothing, I would say. Moving on to the next one, this is storage and your memory. AI has a memory and you do have memory, but the AI memory is very short lived. If you have used ChatGPT Pro version or even the free version, it doesn't remember everything. It is not context aware, what is they call it. It starts to mix things up and forget things, and then you have to prompt it again and again, and then there are two things which happen: you get frustrated, or you reach the limits and you waste 2 hours which are non-productive, thinking that after 2 hours it will again become active, and then I'll start asking the questions again. So the analogy or the extract out of this is that sometimes I've wasted personally 6 to 7 hours just because AI is not doing the job, and I'm waiting for it to wait. I'm waiting for it to bounce back, like the limit, I mean, the limit should be lifted off, so I can give it the context again, and again it can work for me. So this is the thing I'm talking about here. And how will reading help you with this is that if AI shuts down, and if you have the discipline of going through documentation, like I as a software developer, I have to go through a lot of documentation. And as I told you, even if software is logical, it knows certain things, it still makes mistakes, because it is stuck in time. It is not real time, it is stuck in time. Even if it searches the web, you don't know whether that particular problem or that particular issue is faced by someone else in the way you are facing it right now. And for sure AI cannot make or understand that concept on the fly. It can only make sense out of what already exists, and based on that it can then judge and create new contexts. And there are n number of possibilities. That's the reason they call it 14 billion parameters and 7 billion parameters model. This is what they mean, wherein it can think on those lines. There are so many combinations given. I'm talking in very simple terms. So even I have faced this difficulty, and because I have the habit of reading properly, what I do is i I can read the documentation. I don't feel like I'm slogging by reading the documentation. So this is the difference here. And because I'm putting in the effort of understanding things by reading, and I have to go through the documentation every now and then, because of that it gets instilled in my memory, because I'm working on one of the problems, I'm trying to solve them, and when you are stuck there and when you solve it, it automatically gets into your memory and you never forget it. You just have to recall it properly, but you never forget it. If you delete the memory storage in the AI, it forgets it completely, and whenever you start it again, you will have to start working on it again. Whenever people, if you come across these videos where people are creating complete software, I have created a complete software in the AI, but software does not work like that. It has lot many things behind it, and the problems actually start to creep in once the software is completed, when the data starts getting into the software. And that is where AI won't be able to help you, because the software is an evolving process when it's live or in use, and AI cannot understand that. It has limitation. Like, you can build Facebook, but you cannot drive Facebook using AI. That, if that makes sense, because there are a lot of complexities which get introduced later on. So this is the case. You can start doing general things with it, but you cannot rely on it completely. Moving on to the last one. This is something which is positive about the AI. Of course, all things are positive, but this is just as I told you, this is not a solution based video. This is about the insights. AI is efficient, but you have to decide whether you're looking for efficiency or transformation. These are the two things in here. So, as I told you, meeting notes you can summarize with AI, because you were present in the meeting, or you are present in the meeting and you've scrapped notes randomly. It can create the context, and then you can edit the context and present those meeting notes to someone. But because you don't require transformation in that context. But when it comes to researching something, you can make use of AI, but you have to use your own thinking, your own way and your own perspective to build something out of it. You cannot rely on the exact information, because you will never transform yourself by copying the ideas, because those are the same ideas which are being copied by everyone else. What do you think? If you are researching something, it gives me different answers, it will give you different answers, but they are just in different blocks and spaced differently. Like, it's like the list wherein the top 5 items for you are somewhere in between for me and somewhere else for someone else, and so on and so forth, but the whole idea is going to be the same. So you have to decide whether the task which you are giving it is something which requires transformation in you, or some kind of transformation in the work which you are doing, or it is just a task which is monotonous and you can actually take help from AI, and you are already aware of those things, and you just need a pinch of salt to enhance that understanding. Then of course you can use the AI. So I hope I have made sense by talking these things. If you have any questions or concerns, please do let me know in the comments.